What's happening, people? Welcome to Music Monday. And today in the skillet, we are on the Ghost Dance record. We're down to track 4, and it is a tune I wrote called Paying the Fiddler. Well, this is an old song. That album came out in '94, but I probably wrote this song back in the late '80s. And what is it about? Well, I can tell you this. I remember at the time I was going out with a girl from my hometown. We went out a couple times. And at some point in the early stages of that, she said, I'm not going to be second in your life. We had already started the band. We were on the road a lot. I was in Georgia. She was in North Carolina. It was kind of those distance things that are hard anyway. She said, I'm not going to be second in your life to music. I was like, well, man, come on. I mean, if there's something you really want to do, I wouldn't, last thing I'd do is tell you can't go do it. Well, needless to say, that ended right there. I went my way. She went her way. She says, I'm not going to sit second fiddle when music is your muse. And I'm like, look, it's not a muse. It's something I really want to do. And it's kind of the old 10,000 hour rule. You're going to get out of this stuff exactly what you put in it. And, starting a band and being on the road and trying to write your own stuff and get going, I mean, that is like climbing Mount Everest. We were on the road a lot, so your personal life would stay in shambles. And that's not an easy thing for other, people that are involved in your life to try to navigate around. Totally get it. But, you measure a lot of your success and how you've done stuff by what you've had to give up to get it. So it is about sacrifice. It's about paying that line, paying the fiddler for the dance. Yeah, excuse me. And that's exactly what that's about. You're going to get out of it exactly what you put into it. That's probably still true. It may be even harder now for band starting than it was when I did. At least when we got going, you can be on the road a couple hundred days a year and get a fan base going. I don't know that even works anymore. There's some great lines in this song though. I wrote it. John Felty sings it. We moved it up a half step. It's in D sharp, which I think the only song we got a couple 150s in D sharp, and this one's in D. So John liked singing out of the D root a little bit better when it was up for his voice, so we moved it up half step. But the one line, that last verse, I think that really sticks out, and I'm probably no smarter than I was before. And I may never find what I'm looking for, but is your life ever a bore living while you're dying? And that's so true. We get pinned into these mundane jobs and things that aren't meaningful to us, and then you look back and you're like, oh my gosh, man, I just wasted my whole existence doing something I really don't enjoy doing. So, that's kind of what this song is about, paying the fiddler for the dance. It is exactly what you think it is. You're gonna have to work at anything you're gonna achieve. Whereas Robert Hunter would say you're gonna give something up for everything you gain. A lot of truth in that. All right, guitar players. Here we go. D sharp, like I said, it's pretty easy, but that little lick, you're playing like a D chord with your middle finger off, and you're coming up in with your pinky and you're grabbing the G string and you're hammering on the 4th fret, and you're doing that on all the block positions of the chord. So that's how I'm doing it. Into the G, up to the C, E minor, F sharp, G. So it's that's the nuts and bolts of it right there. So you're doing it all with your pinky, and then that little tag on the end of the verse was an A, and it must have been worth something because it's G, E minor, D, and then it's A, even C, B, A minor 7, back to the D. And then Felty, I think John wrote the lick, that little Allman Brothers lick that's in it. Cool tune. One thing I wish we would have done, when we tracked this in the studio at Phoenix Sound, which is Capricorn and Macon, we just cut the thing too fast. We sound like a bunch already, Jupiter Coyote speed dealer on this song because it's just flying. I wish we would have taken a deep breath, pulled the tempo back, and played this song slower. It probably would have come off a little better. We just slowed it down. This song, I really like it, but it's kind of frantic sounding. That's just youth, excitement of being in the studio, and Brent, you probably, we hadn't ever played it much at that point, probably. Some live, I remember playing it live in the early days. And, that's what we got in the skillet today for Music Monday. Cool tune called Paying the Fiddler. And as Paul Harvey would say, now you know the rest of the story. And you certainly do.